What is up, NASCAR fans? This is the NASCAR NITTRO Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And today it's the Cowboys and Chiefs Suck 400 qualifying drag races at Texas Motor Speedway. Today we got 30 full-time entries, 4 special guest drivers, and a crap load of field fillers trying to get their way into 36 spots, 36 not 40 because these cars are heavier. So anyway, here it goes. We're starting with our Daytona 500 winner and points leader alongside Coop. Coop is one of the 4 guest drivers. They'll be seeing him at the Crown Jewel events, the remaining Crown Jewel events, which are the Coca-Cola 600, the Brickyard 400, and Talladega. As he's just a guest driver, he's got no points heading into this event. He's going to face our points leader. Heather's running away from him, about half a track segment ahead. And Heather hits the wall and she's spinning. She's letting Coop have a chance to get in there, but she beats him out at the end. A closer finish than she would have liked. Let's see if her teammate Clyde has better luck against Szechuan Broccoli in the green number 26. As the Green Machine are just racing for fun, they don't have any points heading into this event, so they're stuck driving against the best of the best. And so far, Szechuan Broccoli's car looks like the faster of the 2 that's gone so far. But it still didn't stand a chance against the 99-gram juggernaut of Clyde. And now we have Misty G, also sporting some fresh super glue like her teammate Riot Isaac. Only one of the screws got loose, so no exploding car shenanigans, but she's up against Hertz So Good in the blackout uniform, number 1 Ford Thunderbird. And she's got a car length lead over Mr. So Good, who is the reigning Super Game MVP, racing here for fun, rubbing his Lombardi trophy in Jerry Jones's face. And she'll be doing round 2 in the winner's bracket. And up next is Harry Hoon versus Big Play. Harry Hoon for Cut Rock Creek Racing is coming from Australia. If Jordan Mailata were watching this, he'd be pretty torn between his teammates or his countrymen, who to root for. And Harry Hoon exits the ramp with a car length and a half lead, expands it to 2-3 car lengths before heading to the finish line. An easy win for him. And up next are the teammates. Both of them playing for the home team. Chef Squid, of course, missed the Daytona 500, while Lord Raymond blew his teammates out of the water and got a top 5. But on the ramp portion of the track, Chef Squid is keeping it competitive, bringing a bigger fight to his teammate than I think he was expecting, and I might have spoke too soon. Chef Squid's not going to finish the lap. He's going to have to win in the last chance round now. It'll be against a field filler, but if he drives like that again, he won't be racing. And up next is Bill Bubb of Demon Preacher Racing and Bobby Allison of Uncle Elvis Racing. Bobby Allison missed the 500 due to a DNF in qualifying, while his teammates finished 1-2. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and, well, neither of these guys are gonna... At least Bill landed on his wheels, so at least he's in the show. He's just gonna have a terrible starting spot. Bobby Allison is gonna have to race his way in again. They didn't even make contact there. They just both decided that the outfield grass was a better place to land than the finish line, I guess. And now for the next round, it's William versus Baby Richie. And look at William. Uncle Elvis Racing and Puffs Racing are 2 major contenders. And William is making a statement here. Beats Baby Richie by a full track length. And Baby Richie is a bit off pace, barely finishes the lap. That is a lap that he'll want back. And here's the boss man, Puff, racing against Lord Shank of Lord Shank Racing. And Lord Shank actually gets a slight bit of a lead over Puff, whose car weighs twice as much, and they are still neck and neck heading towards the end of the ramp. Puff only has about a half a car length lead over Lord Shank, and well, that's an El Reco. They had a driver change. Derek Pitts was fired after missing the Daytona 500, and the boss took over, but the results are the same. Horrible luck for Lord Shank Racing. That's unfortunate because Gavin's got a pretty fast car, their teammate. We'll be seeing him later on, but right now we have another Dodge Charger in Christy. She's going against Po' Boy from Po' Boy Racing. And Christy actually has a slight lead in the drag portion, but tips over coming out of the turn, and Po' Boy's going to cruise to an easy victory. Christy will have to beat a field filler in the last chance race, and to do that you have to not DNF to get in. Up next, it is Burt Buzzard versus Sloppy Bear. Burt Buzzard, who salvaged a top 10 after starting in last and finishing 4th in his segment, versus Sloppy Bear, the team owner of Sloppy Bear Racing. And Sloppy Bear does not fly off the track, but still ends up sideways and does not finish the lap on his wheels. and he will have to race his way into a back row starting spot like all the other guys who crashed. And now it is Riot Isaac who had the highlight of the Daytona 500 when his car exploded during the seconds race. He is facing Gavin McSpladge, who recently crashed out of the Lord Shank 500, also crashed out of the Daytona 500 a couple weeks ago, and heading into the corner where all the other muscle cars had crashed out, but he does not. He beats Riot Isaac to the line. Upsets the heavy favorite. When I say heavy favorite, I mean 90 grams, for the first underdog win of the day. And now we have Gale Force, who I believe is the second cousin 3 times removed of Nessa Force in the stock series, alongside Casey Kane for HSL Motorsports. One Australian Dodge Charger versus an American Dodge Charger, and Australia takes this one. And up next is Jay Bowe, the owner and team president of Dog Squab Racing, versus Elton Sawyer, driving for Mark Racel Racing. And look at Jay Bowe flying 2 car lengths by the end of the ramp. Elton Sawyer is going to need a miracle to win this one, and looks like he got it. Jay Bowe goes flying, spins around, beaches himself on the side of the track, and Elton Sawyer gets collected in the mess, but somehow manages to crawl his way across the line at the last second. And we're going to slow it down and see what exactly happens. I thought he might have hit the edge of the track when it broke apart, but that actually happened after the accident. The force of the accident broke the track apart, and he just stalls on the inside lane for some reason. I don't know how that really happened. There was no debris there. Maybe he saw a ghost like Bobby Isaac. Might have been the ghost of one of the Cowboys' ancient Lombardi trophies. And up next, it's Gray in the red Monte Carlo, and Gaza for the Barora Bangers in the black and blue Chevy Impala. Gaza has Texas Motor Speedway on his car. That is right, he is calling his shot, much like Sawyer in the stock says Talladega on his car, and that's an El Reco for Gray in the red car. He'll have to race his way into the last chance qualifier. And up next, it is Charlie Verney and Giorgio. They dusted up with each other a couple times in the qualifying duels, and I believe in the 5th and 6th race last week. I believe they're starting to not like each other, as seen by Giorgio trying to turn inside and try to hit him before the track even splits. And I don't know what the heck happened to Giorgio. He's bouncing and ends up in the infield on his wheels, so he'll be bringing up the rear on race day while he watches Charlie Verney get a decent start. And up next is the Owlman and Sparky Racer, both of whom finished towards the middle of the pack in the Daytona 500, and it looks like Sparky Racer gets a car length lead during the ramp portion. And the Owlman doesn't have any answers for him. And heading into the turn, Owlman gets a bit of a surge there. He's starting to catch up. They're neck and neck. And the Owlman has a bumper length lead heading into the fat track. He throws a block, slows both of the cars down, and they crawl across the finish line. Owlman wins with that risky move that could have backfired, get himself into the winner's bracket, get himself a decent starting spot there. And up next, it is Mike Honcho in the number 97 for Dog Squab Racing, and Lucky Jackson in the number 8, driving for Po' Boy, and they are neck and neck on the ramp part of the track. Both of these cars are pretty fast, but had bad luck in the Daytona 500. And heading into the turn, both of them hit each other. This is the kind of wreck you expect to see in the main event, where everyone already knows they're going to have a good points day, and they're going for the glory. These guys still have to make the race. And now Mike Honcho has to win a go-or-go-home qualifier. This one's going to be against Jeff Fuller, and he finishes that lap easily. Now it is Gray's turn, his last shot to make it in. He beat Dale Jarrett, and now it's Sloppy Bear's turn. Sloppy Bear beats Clint Boyer. Now it's Christine's last chance, and does she flip? She flipped! Let's take a look at this in slow motion. This is similar to what Alan Kulwicki did before he was the only driver to not DNF at Bristol. She finishes a lap and she'll be in the race. That was some incredible stunt work, but also dangerous driving by Christy there. And up next, it's Lord Shank in the black 13, and it doesn't look like he finishes the lap. No, he will miss the race. And up next, it's Bobby Allison. He slides across the finish line to get in, and up next it's Chef Squid, and Ross Chastain will have to wait to make his mod debut. They all get in except Lord Shank, and neither do those two field fillers. They'll join Lord Shank watching. Up next it's Marky Mark versus David Green. David Green wins that one. It's Alex Bowman versus Rowdy Bush. Rowdy Bush wins that on the outside. Up next, a pair of veterans from last year, and Elmo Langley gets the upper hand over D Driver. Now it's Alan Kulwicki Did well in the stocks for a field filler, but lost to Tyler Bloodfish there on the outside. One of those field fillers will still miss the race, whichever one draws the lowest card. I mean, who cares? They're only field fillers. This is more interesting. The losing drivers bracket. The winners of these races will have okay mid-pack starting spots, while the losers will most likely be starting fourth or worse in their segments, and Giorgio flips over. He chokes the lead away on the fat track, and that allows Riot Isaac to drive cleanly past him and win that race. Up next, it is Sparky Racer versus J-Bo. And J-Bo driving backwards down the ramp. He's got about a car length lead over Sparky Racer heading into the turns, and that is an El Reco for J-Bo. He barrel rolls his way into the infield, recovers at the last second, and that is still a loss. And up next is Casey Kane and Lucky Jackson. And despite his name, neither of these drivers were very lucky in the Daytona 500. That's why they started their drag races on the outside. And Lucky Jackson gets about a car length lead over Casey Kane heading into the turns and does not relinquish that lead like we've seen a couple times today, and he's able to hold off Casey Kane for the win. And up next is Bill Z. Bub and Baby Richie. Baby Richie's been off pace compared to his teammates since the very first qualifying video, and Bill Bub choked away a primo starting spot in his first round by driving off of the track. And Bill Z. Bub is running away with this one, almost a full track section's length over Baby Richie. And Baby Richie on the outside is slowly making his way across the finish line. Up next is two of the Green Machine teammates, Hurts So Good and Szechuan Broccoli. Now these guys are only part-timers competing for their own mini award, Best Eagle, and so far Szechuan Broccoli has the upper hand, as he's got about a half a track segment lead over Hurts So Good heading into the fat track, and he runs away with that one. Up next is the other two Green Machine teammates, Coop and Big Play Slay, two of the biggest stars of the defense, both driving identical Chevy Luminas. And they are neck and neck. Both of these cars are pretty much the same casting, same wheels. I think Coop's car is a little bit heavier, and that looks like it'll give him the advantage on the backstretch. And Coop wins it and beaches Big Play on the guardrail. And now it's time for the winners bracket. And the winners of these races will all be in the drawings for the pole position. And we're going to start off with our points leader, Heather, and Gavin McSplage. These are set by points. And Heather wastes no time opening up a car length lead over Gavin. 2 car lengths heading into the turn. And Gavin McSplage bins it. He is only a few centimeters away from hitting Jerry Jones's truck and locking himself into the pole drawing. But unfortunately for him, that is a loss. And now it is Clyde and Elton Sawyer. And it's a similar story. Clyde wastes no time opening up a large lead. He's got a 2 car length, 3 car length lead and growing before he even gets into the flat portion. It looks like Elton Sawyer is starting to catch up with him, but I think he overdrove it a bit, bins it. And why the heck not? He's already in. He's got nothing to lose, going for the gold. But it is Clyde that holds him off. And up next is Misty G and Gaza. Misty G, of course, got a podium in the Daytona 500. Gaza finished 5th in his segment. But Gaza actually looks a little bit faster coming out of the gate. Maybe it's because he has Texas Motor Speedway on his car, and he's calling his shot and backing it up so far. A full car length lead over Misty G. And that's an El Reco? No, it's not. He does allow Misty G to pass, though. Lesson to all the other drivers, stunt driving like that is only worth it if you're in last and you need a Hail Mary. Doing that from the lead gets you bad starting spots. And up next it is Harry Hoon versus the Owlman. The Owlman with an upset in his first round, and Harry Hoon is doing what you expect a Cut Rock Creek racing car to do. He pulls out to a lead of about a half a track segment and continues to grow as he heads to the finish line. And that's an easy win for Harry Hoon. He'll have a decent starting spot today. Lord Raymond in the number 46, going up against Charlie Verney in the number 74 blacked out Pontiac Grand Prix. That is one seriously good looking G-body. Matte black, tinted windows, dirt racing wheels. One seriously good looking car, but Lord Raymond denies him a shot at a front row starting spot. And up next, it is William, your stock division Daytona 500 winner, pulling double duty for Uncle Elvis Racing. next to Gale Force for the Barora Bangers. Both of them are driving Dodge Chargers. I believe it was Gale Force that beat Casey Kane also in a Dodge Charger. Lots of Dodge Chargers in the Mod Series this year. And now the gates are down. It looks like William is stalled. He gets his car restarted there, but that allows Gale Force to swoop by and get a 1.5 car length lead before they even exit the ramps. And Gale Force continues to build her lead. She might have taken the lead anyway if he didn't have problems even. And wins by like 3 or 4 car lengths. Easy victory for Gale Force. And up next, it is Puff and Burt Buzzard. Two of the biggest names on Redline Derby, Cut Rock Creek Racing and Puffs Racing, going after a shot at the pole head-to-head. You'll be seeing these two teams at the front of the pack all year long. And Burt Buzzard takes a commanding lead before heading into the turn. Puff tries to catch up, but it is too little too late. And finally, we have Po' Boy. There was an odd number of cars. And finally, it's Po' Boy. He's got to finish the lap here. Harry Hoon has already made his way in. He won 2 races. He just volunteered to be the track bogey for him. Because if Po' Boy loses, he goes into the loser's bracket. And it doesn't look like that'll be a problem. Po' Boy does win. And this is what your starting lineup is going to look like. And if you notice the Owlman's car in there, that is supposed to be Harry Hoon's car. Simply got the two mixed up, and Harry Hoon will be starting third. But it's Gale Force that draws the pole. A lot of high cards there. And now for the first race winners, it looks like Gazza draws the ace of spades there, so he'll be getting a really good starting spot. The front row alongside Elton Sawyer and Gavin McSplage and the Owlman. And here are the other segments. Because right here we have the cars that lost the first round but won the second. And it looks like Bill Z. Bub draws an ace there too, followed by Riot Isaac. And here are the cars that took an L twice. I hate to see the 2 Eagles in there, but hey, a pair of kings for a pair of kings. They're still starting in the back. It doesn't matter that much. And these are the cars that crashed on the second lap. And finally, the field fillers. The field fillers here are either cars that DNF'd on their qualifying lap, and this is almost a pretty decent poker hand, as well as the literal field fillers. These guys will be starting in the back, and drawing a 3, David Green will miss the race due to the weight of the cars not being able to support him. And now here is your starting lineup for the 36 car Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Chiefs Suck 400. Like I said, I had made a mistake earlier. The Owlman and Harry Hoon, the 38 and the 97, should actually be swapped. And I combed over the race results quite a few times, and everybody else is where they should be. Gale Force draws the pole. Po' Boy, Harry Hoon, our very own Heather, and Lord Raymond make up your segment pole sitter. Now the race should be up pretty soon. Remember to hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment and subscribe. I'll see yous out there on the track.